What's up, guys? This is Dr. Dizzy. I'm here to bring you a Miss Pandaria Fury Warrior guide for the more casual-minded people that likes to top the chart, possibly in a pug, whenever they can. Um, Now, the Warrior class is a pretty cooldown heavy class, I would say. There's a lot of skills you need to track. 30-second cooldowns or a minute cooldowns that you need to track carefully and to be using them whenever possible. Um, Now, when it comes to Warrior PvE DPS, Fury actually comes out ahead a lot more than the ARM spec currently, and is doing actually very well competing DPS with all the other classes. To maximize your DPS as the Warrior class, you basically have to play this class flawlessly, I would say. Um, for the more casual people, I think my guy will help you out in terms of what you need to do to maximize your DPS in certain situation in a raid. Now, before we begin with how to play your class, we're gonna learn about the class's cooldown. So here we go. We have the Skull Banner, which is 3-minute cooldown, increase your crit damage by 20%. We have the Recklessness, which increase your critical chance by 50% for 12 seconds. There's Bloodbath, which is melee special hits. There's additional 50% as bleed over 6 seconds whenever you use a special attack during the period of Bloodbath on a target. And there's also Dragon's Roar, which is a 1-minute cooldown that deals massive damage on hit, which you should be lining up with all your other cooldown, including your trinket usage. There's also Berserker Rage, which is your rage gain and on-demand enrage proc. And there's also the Battle Shout, which is your rage gain. And there is the Colossus Smash, which is one of your most important ability, if not next to the Bloodthirst. Now, there are several ways to maximize your DPS in a raid setting for Fury Warrior. That is to just do your proper rotation for the class. As long as you can keep up this proper rotation and correctly use your cooldown, you should have no problem maintaining maximum DPS at all times, which should be very easy to do. Now, for a fight that's about 6 minutes, you want to be using your Recklessness and timing your Skull Banner the second time with your Recklessness to get the most out of your DPS. If you have a fight that lasts about 7 minutes or so, you can use Skull Banner actually 3 times during that period, where the second time you use it, you don't line up with your Recklessness, but you delay your Recklessness by an entire minute so you can use your Skull Banner 3 times during the fight. So how to maximize your DPS for a raid. Now, in the beginning of the boss encounter, you want to be pre-potting. So that means you want to be popping one of these strength potions before the encounter starts. That means before your tank pulls the boss, you pop one of these bad boys to start the encounter. In the beginning of the encounter, you want to pop all your cooldowns, lining them up so you have your max DPS right at the start. Now, the Warrior beginning burst is actually very strong and is one of the strongest in the game currently. You're able to get up to 300k DPS just from your opening bursts. But after that, you will start, slowly losing DPS because sometimes you can't get the enrage proc going, or you just miss a couple of skills. Now, to maintain that DPS, you have to play a rotation pretty good, almost to perfection, I would have to say. And also lining up your cooldown and whatnot to go along with your skills. Now, tracking the warrior cooldowns and your trinket usage is very important and a big part of your rotation here. So it's good to have some sort of add-on that tracks your trinket. Here I use Need to Know. So you can see I have all my cooldown basically set up here. Raging Blow, Bloodthirst. I have my weapon enchantment cooldown. There's also my internal CD for my trinkets. There's also the enrage proc letting me know when I have enrage and how long it's left, and also the Colossus Smash letting me know my burst period. Yeah. Now, these trinkets are very important to how well you will do your damage because whenever they proc, you can line up your skills with them and get the max out of the procs for you. Now, with the Warrior's Relic of Shren, as you can see here, all melee attack will grant you this proc, okay? And that goes the same with Lation's Final Order here. Both these trinkets are attack on hit, one being only melee attack, where the other one can trigger on any attack that you do. But with a warrior, this trinket basically proc off anything you do. And also, they will proc pretty much right away as you begin the encounter. So that means the first couple of hit you do on the boss, they should trigger right away. So you can start your opening burst with both these trinkets up and a pre-pot. That means you gain about, I don't know, 10,000 strength during the first 20 seconds of the encounter, which is a huge boost of damage, you know. But a large chunk of the warrior damage actually comes from the execute phase. That's when the boss gets below 20%, or execute activate, which allows you to deal, massive amount of damage to the target. And during that phase, you want to pop your second potion, line up your recklessness and your skull banner all together, just so you can get the max out of that DPS as well. Now, let's go over some of the talents here for the warrior tree. So we have double time for the first tier. This allows you to use charge twice. For heavy mobile fight, things you gotta change target a lot. This is a great talent to use. As you can charge twice, even though you don't gain rage the second time you charge right after, but you can get to where you need to go very quickly, and your mobility is very high as a warrior. Now let's go to the second tier. We have a second wind. This is pretty much a personal preference on this tier here. Depends on the fight. You might want to go enraged regeneration, which just give you HP on command whenever you have a enraged proc up, or you can make it have an enraged proc up with the berserker rage, or you can go impending victory if you feel like you want to spam some sort of healing ability every 30 seconds or so, just to get your health back up a little bit. But a second one here is actually very useful because once you go below 35% health, you regenerate 3% of your health per second. So where encounter that takes you down to below a certain percentage of your health, but does not deal a lot of damage afterwards, this is a great talent to take. Third tier here, we have Disrupting Shell, Piercing House, Dagger Shell. These are generally just a utility talents. Just basically pick what's best for the situation. Now, there are two ability here for the fourth tier that you should look out for, which is Dragon War and Shockwave. Now, these two abilities damage come pretty close together, but I think Dragon War actually come out ahead a little bit just due to ignoring armor altogether, so you don't have to use it during your Colossus Smash, which save you a global cooldown that you can use on some other skills. For this tier, we have Safeguard, Vigilance, and Mass Spell Reflect. Again, it's personal preference. Depends on how the encounter goes. You pick different ones. If you need mobility, you stick with Safeguard. If you want some damage reduction, you go to Vigilance. Now, last tier here, we have Avatar, Bloodbath, and Stormbolt. Now, this is not really a personal preference anymore. When it comes down to talent on this tier, I think Bloodbath will come out ahead on all of these skills, unless they somehow change the Stormbolt to give a little bit more damage. Even though it does deal 300% damage on a 30-second cooldown, that is still a global that you need to spend every 30 seconds. So you're missing out on a lot of your regular attack just so you can use this skill. But with Bloodbath, it's an instant skill that is not on a global cooldown. You can use it whenever you want, so it lines up perfectly with your 1 minute cooldown here. And it's actually a very, very strong skill. For the avatar talent, I think this talent should be only taken by a arms warrior, where it would actually boost their damage by quite a bit. With the patch 5.1, this talent is going to be transformed into a little bit, I would say, subpar talent. They're taking out the rage gain, but they're increasing the duration by about 4 seconds. Now, I think this actual rage gain is actually very important when you have this talent here, because when you pop it during the execute phase, you're getting constantly a lot of rage from it, so you can spam the execute like crazy when you're in arm spec. But with the next patch coming up, this is going to be nerfed, and I think that it's going to be a lot weaker than a bloodbath, which will actually deal more damage. But I think it's still a good talent to take as an arm warrior. But as for Fury, it's very subpar, and I do not suggest anybody taking this talent at this time. Alright, here is a Warlock chart that I'm going to show you guys here, just to give you a general feel of how you should play a warrior. So you can see in the opener here, I did about 200k DPS, and once the opener finished, my DPS just kind of fluctuate you a little bit. You know, that's the time when I don't have my large cooldown like Recklessness or Skull Banner to boost my DPS. It's just a time where I, use my Bloodbath and Dragon War on cooldown, lining up with my Colossus Smash and my Enrage proc or whatnot. But you see in the end there, I spiked up towards 300k for a period. On this boss, at the end, you have to run from one side to the other, DPS him for about 10%, and then run to the other side and DPS him for the rest of the 10% left of his health. So you can see I spec up to about 300k DPS for my end bursts. That is very, very strong. That's where most of my damage come from. So it's very important to keep track of all your CD, so you have the CDs ready when you enter the execute phase, so you can just pump that damage out like crazy. Alright guys, here I'm going to show you my opening burst with my warrior here on a training dummy. So we're going to start by popping a potion. I'm going to charge in, do a little Dragon Roar, Battle Shout, Colossus Smash up. We're going to do Bloodthirst, and weave in Heroic Straight in between these attacks here with your procs, so you can get the max out of that Colossus Smash in the beginning with all your Trinket proc, plus a potion, and a weapon proc. So that's a huge of your damage just in the beginning there. As you can see, it's not even been a minute yet. I already dealt 3 million damage in my opener, which is insane amount of damage. But after that, your warrior damage kind of start falling off. I just have to upkeep your rotation. Because of the current gear that I have, my crit rate is not at an optimal state. So I am not getting as much enrage proc I would like. So there will be a period where I'm going to be low on rage. And during those times, you want to use your heroic leap, or you want to use your heroic throw just to fill those global cooldown. So you're not missing out on, very much. Now, once we enter execute phase, things become a little bit more simpler, because the only attack you should be spamming during that time is either Bloodthirst, Colossus Smash, or execute. There's nothing else you need to worry about except for getting as much rage as you can and lining up your CD right at the end, so you can do the maximum burst with your execute. Just make sure you keep all your enrage with your Bloodthirst, and you'll be good to go. Anyways, guys, I'll be posting up another video very soon just to showcase what I can do in Array, so you can get a better idea of what to do for certain situation that occurs during the raid, so you can maximize your DPS at all time, and just be topping the chart in general here. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching, guys.